Hello and welcome to CR Wrestling Commentary. I'm your host, Cedric Kennedy, and I'll be answering viewers today. Oh, one viewer, Zemo times 2. And he had a very difficult question because, although, make a choice, but at the same time, what you want isn't what's always best. And what might be more or less best might not be what's preferred. And that's where it just all depends. So I'll get to the question here, and it's on screen if you want to be able to read it. It's from Zemo times 2, and this is a while ago, so I'm answering it now because there's not going to be a time where Cedric and I can do this together. If she cares to answer, put her stake into this, then she can do her own video on it, and that'd be cool. So I'm going to do this because I cannot stand leaving people hanging or waiting, for a very long time for things that are relatively should be at least done within a day. Okay, so his question is, if Vader was still alive and in his prime, who would you like to see him face in the ring? Ishii, Suzuki, or Jay Lethal? And so, for those that don't know, Ishii Tomohiro, or if he's in United States, it'd be Tomohiro Ishii. He's a brawler. He is a I guess a runner, a sprinter. He's a high-paced machine in that ring. He likes to do battle, old school, with a subtle new school edge. Subtle. Suzuki Minoru, or in the United States, Minoru Suzuki, he is a submission wrestler. He is he's a striker, more or less. Not a very great striker, but he's a striker nonetheless. His primary abilities are submission, counter, speed, and precision. And then you have Jay Lethal. And his style, very technical, very subtle high flying. Not a power wrestler. He's not even a striker. Not necessarily he can strike. All wrestlers can strike, but there's some way, that you can just see that they are strikers. But he's very technical, high paced, subtle high flying. So that's about where he comes in. And that's just going over the basis of style. So who would I like to see Big Van Vader in his prime do battle with? Honestly, I'm going to answer, then I'm going to answer some other ways too. I personally would like to see him go against Ishii. They're both hardened battlers. Vader is a striker. Vader's a power wrestler. Very, very, very little high flying. But Vader, in his age-wise, in his prime, he was wrestling, but he hadn't thoroughly found himself. He was still searching. Just a little bit after his prime, that's when he realized who he was, what he could do, and what he would like to do. So a Vader in his prime is somebody I wouldn't want to see wrestle anybody, in his age prime, but wrestling savvy, wrestling, what he knows and what he knows to do and not do in wrestling, his wrestling prime, now that was a monster. So him versus Ishii is the one I would like to see, because Ishii, he's a striker. He likes to go back and forth. He's like more of a power striker. Vader's a power striker. Vader would do those clubbing forearms, or as in Japan they call them hammer fist or hammer punches, or forearm hammers for general consensus for everyone around the world. The forearm hammers, that's Vader's thing. And yeah, I've seen him throw them potatoes where you see the jaw get rocked and see Flair's knees kind of legitimately buckle, when he does get hit a bit too hard. Ishii has done the same thing. They both, now I'm just going on style. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm only going on style. Ishii and Vader would have a brawling 5-star match. It would not take much. Ishii is just greatness in general. I can see how the match would go. Actually, the match would go quite a number of ways. Let's say it's their first meeting. There's no grudge. There's no thing. Okay? It's all good. So, in short, the match would start off with them locking up, Vader pushing them back. Vader being the bigger guy, he would always consistently take control in any lockup. Calling up a lockup, Vader wins. Vader don't take long. He starts body blows, forearm punches, hammer punches, clubbing fists. Ishii would be covering up, and then Vader would hop back. Ishii would get up in his face like you're nothing. And he'd yell at him. Vader would start going for those punches. Ishii would start ducking or blocking and delivering blows of his own. And it would go that way. Ishii ducking, evading, hitting and running until he gets caught with an avalanche, which is jumping, kind of more like it's a counter move, or thrown to the ropes and jump into him. It's just jump forward and up with your arms out. When they hit, bam, Vader like to wrap his arms around their body real quick, sometimes making a slapping or thudding sound to add to the bass of the impact, and also to keep him from flying back, because one time he sent this guy flying through the ropes. So maybe that's why he started doing that. I can see them battling back and forth, and Ishii and Vader get to the point where they look like they hurt each other really bad. Ishii can do that very well. I think he does that too much, so it makes it look not so great, but Vader, he can do that just as well, showing that weakness and strife. And then I can see Ishii getting him to the mat one way or the other, whether it's knocked down from a forearm, flying shoulder tackle, clothesline, lariat, drop kick, which people forget Ishii can throw a great drop kick. And I can see him stomping on him, getting that sliding lariat, that sliding elbow. I can see him getting that. Ishii will not get the power slam in, but Vader certainly will. He'll hook that leg. Vader will go for a moonsault. He'll miss. Ishii, he'll try to pick him up to suplex him for that brain buster. He won't be able to get it. They'll go back and forth. They'll do their things. How the match ends, that's up to them. But when the match is over, you will feel almost exhausted. Your respect for both will elevate. Your respect and love for wrestling will elevate. And your standards, unbeknownst to you, will elevate. And when you see someone else wrestle, you'll start comparing them not to that style, but to believability. How much do they want to win? Do they show that they want to get that thing done? You'll compare that. That's why certain people shouldn't wrestle each other. Now, when it comes to who's best to wrestle, it would be Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal would be the best. It's not because he's a U.S. citizen or anything like that. No. The reason Jay Lethal is best is because here's the issue. When you look at Vader, he's huge. I mean, all around huge. Ishii is short. In the comparison, he's tiny. I mean, Vader would look like he should just throw him around and club him down, beat him in the back a few times and pin him. Suzuki Minoru is roughly the same way. It's like if he tried that Juji Katami over the top rope, it seemed like Vader should just grab him by his wrist, pull him up, throw him back in the ring with a powerbomb. It seems like no matter what Minoru would do, it wouldn't work. Unless he got him down, worked the legs, worked the ankles, worked the knees. That would be best. But still, I can't see him winning against Vader. I can't see Vader losing to Suzuki. Even though a well-placed, psychologically educated match, Suzuki could win, and decisively, almost a squash. He could. But I just can't see it. I just can't see it. And anyone up here knows how much I love Ishii and Suzuki. That's why, and I'm thinking, you got to correct me if I'm wrong, Zemo, but that's why you put Ishii and Suzuki up here, because you know how much Cedar and I love these two and their style and what they can do in that ring. And I think that's why you're trying to trap me. Jay Lethal, why he is better suited to go against Vader, is because he's bigger than Ishii and Suzuki. And while in Japan they view it as a contest, your style versus theirs, your size versus theirs, and they watch those matches closely. They're being entertained, but they're watching those matches. In the United States, just like all over the world, but it's just so overt in the United States that people in the United States they aren't high-minded, not necessarily. It's very singular focus. So for them, because Ishii and Suzuki are small, obviously smaller, they should just lose. It shouldn't even be a contest, and anything other is just a blight. That would be it. It'd be a blight on the industry. Jay Lethal, though he's small, he's bigger than the other two. And although he's in their days, Ron Simmons or Butch Reed, he's still large and durable. So he'd be able to have the better pace with Vader. Should he beat Vader? No. But he'd be better matched visually than the other two. Move-wise, history, and damage shown, Jay would be the weakest of Ishii and Minoru. This was a really good one, Zemo ×2. This is a really good one. Back in the day, 40 years ago. Yeah, can't say 30. 40 years ago, Jay, Minoru, and Ishii would be done in a squash match against Vader. It'd be 1 against 3. They would try. Vader would sling, knock away, backhand away, kick down, and all this. And the one that takes the fall would have been Ishii. And I'm going to tell you why. When Ishii loses, he looks like he lost, but he looks like he's trying to fight. Suzuki Minoru does not sell losing well. He just don't. Jay Lethal doesn't necessarily sell losing great per se, but what Jay Lethal sells is disappointment in losing. So disappointment as a face, anger as a heel. He does that well. Suzuki, you watch his matches, when he gets pinned or something like that, he kind of just lays there waiting to get up, not necessarily laying there like I'm jacked up. There's some people like Jay Lethal. I'll give it this. Yeah, I might have to walk back something because Jay Lethal can lay there like I am messed up. And he can do that. Sometimes like Jay's just waiting to pop up. That's why I said that. So for me, I would like to see Vader in his prime against Tomohiro Ishii. Not in his prime, but him, I'll say about 5 years ago and then up. Suzuki would be better for Vader with what he knows now, but using it, in his prime. Jay Lethal, honestly, all he's ever done is gotten better. So I like to see him now. And Jay is still in his prime, so he's still good. However, I'm gonna add something that Zemo probably didn't want to add. Who Vader would have had an amazing match with? Because anyone can have an amazing match with this person. And yeah, while Jay Lethal is right up there equal with him, but you left him out. And I think you did it on purpose, Zemo. I think you're messing with me. Jay Briscoe. Jay Briscoe and Big Van Vader would be amazing. Jay Briscoe 10 years ago and up versus Vader just 5 years before he retired and back. That's where I would that's what I would like to see. No, not 5 years before he retired. I would say 10. So I would like to see him. I would like to see Jay Briscoe against Vader when Vader was from 87, before I was even watching wrestling, from 87 to 96. I think that'd be that spot on range for Big Van Vader. Yeah, I think that's about how. Yeah, that'd be good. So hey, let me close that out right there. Boop. All right, I just took the question off the screen. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope I answered your question solidly. If I seem to have left anything out, go ahead and press me on and I'll do a follow-up. If you got other questions, no matter what level, to where, to what, go ahead and ask. Just keep in mind, anyone listening, that I don't watch WWE. I don't watch anything WWE. I don't watch AEW. It's like when I do, it's always a disappointment. Or if I do, I'm more like I need background noise while I'm doing something, and I don't feel like getting my phone. That's about it. But however, I will say this. I'll make this amend. If you ask my opinion on a specific match and can link to that specific match, I will probably watch that match and then give my commentary on what I thought about that match or that person or whatnot. No matter what company it is, even if it's some old garbage wrestling. And yeah, if it's some garbage wrestling, I will talk about how fucking stupid something is. Just keep that in mind. So, this has been Cedric Kennedy for CR Wrestling Commentary. Thank you for listening.